Shalom. I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash, and double honors to our elders and apostles, a great millstone that taught us his truth. Peace, love, and salutations to the hopeful Lake Akim, teaching and preaching his truth with all righteousness and sincerity. This is Yahweh Shop. Today's lesson is entitled, Iran Protests Escalate, and Will This Come to America? And Lord willing, you be edified through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, which are the true names of the Heavenly Father and his beloved Son in the Paleo Hebrew. And as always, the sit downs, the lessons, the street speaking is for the remnant, the elect, the Israel of the Most High, unto you is the gospel preached. And with 2026, right, starting off with all types of protests, ICE shootings, protests here in America, here in other countries, the continual layoffs, the continual inflation. All right, the whole world is changing, man. All right, and I'm thinking about precepts as I'm making these statements through the spirit. And in 2nd Esdras 15, which goes into Jacob's trouble, as well as 2nd Esdras 16, it tells us these different conditions that will be happening in the earth. All right, and specifically here in Babylon the Great, which is America. So I've been keeping up with this Iran protest, all right, and seeing the different things that's going on, which I see these events that's taking place in Iran as a prelude to what's coming to America, all right. And we often blow the trumpet about, this time of trouble, this tribulation, Jacob's trouble. And what we seeing in these other countries, man, is coming steadfastly to here. All right. So I'm gonna play this video here, and of course, go into the precepts, and Lord willing, you be edified through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai.
To renewed military threats from President Trump.
Protests in Iran continued to grow today and over the weekend, as has the death toll, with security forces now estimated to have killed at least 500 protesters, perhaps many more.
You hear that? Protesters are getting put down. Let me run it back.
In addition,
Estimated to have, and over the weekend, as has the death toll, with security forces now estimated to have killed at least 500 protesters, perhaps.
And that number has went up since yesterday. Last report I seen, it was 650 people dead. And it's the security that's putting these people down.
Perhaps many more.
in addition to renewed military threats from President Trump, late today he issued another threat saying any country doing business with Iran will pay a tariff of 25% on any and all business being done with the United States.
And hey, Trump, all right, president of Babylon the Great, which he's controlled. You know, there's people behind him that's having these particular plays being set forth. But the hammer of the earth, America, and its military, all right, they making threats. Right now they talking about tariffs, and then Donald Trump came out and said that, look, if y'all don't quell all this protest that's happening over there and all these killings, we gonna have to come over there. You know, and Iran is supported by Russia. Okay. And the prophecies speak about how Russia, or Gog and Magog, is going to be a defense unto Iran. So, you know, these particular events that's happening is getting us closer and closer to World War III, or as the scriptures call it, the third woe. Let me get something real quick while the spirit on it. This is Ezekiel 38 and 1. It says, prophecy about Gog and future invasion of Israel. And hey, man, you know, America, which this title is what the scholars gave this chapter, but just looking at this through the spirit, Gog being Russia, all right, they're going to end up sending the missiles to Babylon the Great, Israel, and not just Russia, all of America's allies, all right, the EU, NATO, right, as well as China and Iran, Iraq. But let's go ahead and get into Ezekiel 38 and 1. And the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog and the land of Magog. Gog and the land of Magog is speaking of Russia. All right. And although the Lord is going to use the bear, these Russians, and once again, all of these other countries to shoot missiles upon Babylon the Great and turn this place into a lake of fire. All right. These Russians are Edomites. So they're going to get destroyed too. So we set our face against them as well. The whole house of Edom. It says the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against him and say, thus saith Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, behold, I am against thee. So just because Russia is a mighty, is mightier than America, weapon wise, right? The Lord is against them. The Lord is just going to use them as an instrument to fulfill these prophecies, man. It says, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws. Basically turning them back into their former ways, going back to the energy that they had when they was the USSR. All right. And I will bring thee forth in all thy army and horses and horsemen, and all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, and all of them handling swords, just going into their military and their technology, the missiles, the lasers, all this sophisticated military tech. All right, Russia, all right, has advanced weaponry that America can't see. All right, one of which is the Orenzik missile. Orenzik is a new Russian intermediate range ballistic missile recently used in Ukraine, described by Russia as a hypersonic weapon with multiple independent targetable warheads. All right, so let me give you some visuals of what a ICBM is. All right, and Apostle John saw these coming over here, and not just Apostle John in Revelation 9. Edris saw it too. 2nd Edris 15 saw these missiles. Okay, Isaiah. So this is the ICBM missile, right? As you can see on the screen. All right, and basically behind the nose cone, you have what they call warheads, and each warhead is what's going to bring the destruction. And from what they were saying on this little quick overview of the Orenzik missile, it has independently targetable warheads, meaning behind this nose cone, there's different warheads and they can hit different targets. One can hit, let's say, for instance, Los Angeles, and then another one can hit Sacramento, or one can hit Arizona, and one can hit California. And the Lord put the spirit on these devils to come up with this technology. The Lord has created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, that bringeth forth his instrument, the waster to destroy. It says independently targetable warheads that can overcome missile defenses. And you know who else saw this? Joel, the prophet Joel. I may have to do a lesson going into these missiles, man. It's been a minute since I have. All right. Maybe I'll go into that soon, Lord willing. It says it can overcome missile defenses, and that's what Joel saw. Hey, man, the prophecies is where it's at. The prophecies, the counsel of the Lord is standing, man. Let me see something real quick. Lord willing, I do a lesson on it, but I'm going to just bring this out real quick. Joel 2:7, they shall run like mighty men, the missiles. They coming fast. They shall climb the wall like men of war. All right, because like we were reading, these missiles, they can overcome missile defense systems. So they can change direction. They can go up, they can go down, they can move around, they can maneuver in different ways. It says, and they shall march every one on his ways, and they shall not break their ranks, because these missiles, they have missile guided technology in them, different sensors, different things to detect certain things, and they can avoid other missile defense systems that try to strike these missiles down out of the air. Neither shall one thrust another. They're not going to be colliding in the heavens. They shall walk every one in his path, and when he fall upon his sword, all right, which is a missile defense, all right, when they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded. Why? Because they're going to avoid them. They shall run to and fro in the city. Babylon the Great is the city. And they're going to be flying all over this place. They shall run up the wall. They shall climb up upon the houses. They shall enter in at the windows like a thief, the ozone layer. Lord going to drop these missiles right over here. The earth shall quake before them, bring the destruction. It's going to cause this place to reel to and fro like a drunkard. The heavens shall tremble, and the sun and the moon shall be dark, and the stars shall withdraw their shining, because it's going to cause that great darkness. It's the day of the Lord. But this type of technology, Esau can't step, these American Edomites can't step to it. But continuing on, it says, independently targetable warheads that can overcome missile defenses and cause significant conventional damage, even destroying deep underground bunkers. Though it's effective against advanced defenses, is debated by Western analysts. Of course, Western analysts is going to debate it, because they're not going to come out and say, yeah, Russia, yeah, they got way more power than us, right? But back to the point, these lessons are lessons within lessons. Gog and Magog, which is Russia, is going to be a defense to Iran. Ezekiel 38:5. Persia, which is Iran, Ethiopia, Africa, Libya, I believe that's Africa as well. Libya goes back to, Pawat in the Hebrew, North Africa. And when you look at the BRICS, which is an acronym, all right, let's pull it up. BRICS, the BRICS nations. The BRICS is a group of major emerging economies, which bros brought out that is deeper than the emerging economies. This is a military alliance. You got Brazil, Russia, India, which is Persia, China, and South Africa. Plus recent additions, Egypt, Ethiopia. Egypt, that's North Africa. Ethiopia. This fits the prophecies. Back in Ezekiel 38:5, Persia, Iran, Ethiopia, and Libya, North Africa with them, all of them with shields and helmet. They got missiles. Gomar, which is Turkey, and all his bands, the house of Togarmah, and the North Quarters and his bands, and many people with them. So they got a great military alliance, and Russia is supplying them with these missiles. So with America talking big, saying that, look, if Iran don't quell all that energy over there in regards to the uproars and the protests and security personnel putting down a bunch of people, we're going to have to come over there. All right. And as it says here, Russia is going to be a guard unto them. And that lets us know, man, what time and season we in. Let me see something real quick. When you go to 2nd Esdras 9, in 1, he says, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and you do so by doing what I'm doing here through the Spirit on these videos, going into different, reports about what's going on in the geopolitics, looking at what's going on in these other countries, looking at the energy in Babylon the Great, you linking it up with the prophecies. That's how you measure out the time diligently in itself. All right. And when thou seest parts of the signs are the prophecies, which I told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made, which the visitation starts off with prophecies coming to pass. And our prophecies speak about these different events leading up to Yahushua coming with power and great glory. All right. But we measure in the time, and look, Yahushua has told us about threats of war. And Trump saying, look, he's going to impose a 25% tariffs on any nation or country that do business with Iran. That's a threat of war right there, man. Matthew 6 and 20, Matthew 24:6, and ye shall hear wars and rumors of wars. All right. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. And that's right, because there's other things that have to happen before the end come. Esau got to push that MOTB. And this war isn't going to kick off until Esau calls all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, and receive that implantable technology under the skin here in Babylon the Great, but he won't chip the elect. So that's how we know that this devil, he know that he got a short time. The energy of war is in the air. Revelation 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens. All right. Men that finished their course, died, and back in the presence of the Lord, waiting for Yahweh Shai to come, as well as us in the earth. We're the heavens. The kingdom of heaven dwelleth in us. We got this truth in us. So we're rejoicing. And ye that dwell in them, woe unto the inhabitants of the earth and the sea, because destruction is coming. For the devil, which is Esau, is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he have but a short time. Esau got to hurry up. All right. He can't make any deals with these Russians. We're going to come back. When you go to Isaiah 13, which it goes into the prophecies about America, which is Babylon. When you go down here to the 17th verse, they have entitled this section, Babylon will fall to the Medes. Medes is another code word for Russia, which when you look at an ancient map, where you see what the Medes is, when you look north of the Medes, that's where Russia is today. So this is prophetically speaking about Russia, or like we were reading in Ezekiel 38, Gog and Magog. Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them. The Lord is putting a spirit on these Russians, like we read in Ezekiel 38. I will put hooks in thy jaws, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. America can't make any deals with Russia. Russia is just going to handle the business. Their bows, the missiles, all right, one of which is the Orenzic missile, shall dash the young men to pieces, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Pregnant women, their eyes shall not spare children. When these missiles come, they're not going to be emotional and sensitive to, little children and pregnant women and old folk. Lord going to have these missiles come over here and bring destruction. In Babylon, America, the glory of kingdoms, which all these nations, they pattern their society after what they see over here in America. They have drunken the wine of her fornication. They took it on America's political ways. They took it on America's dollar. All right. And debt and so on and so forth. The beauty of the Chaldees' excellency, the Chaldees were heavy in witchcraft, shall be as when the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. So just like the Lord rained down fire and brimstone at Sodom and Gomorrah and the neighboring cities and burnt it up, that's how America is going to go out. So we see the playmakers in position. We just waiting on some type of event that justifies Esau eliminating this cash system that we have and him implementing the new system, which the infrastructure for the new system is already here. He just needs something that's, put him in position to convince people to put that in that technology in their body. So now let's go back over here to this article. This report. I'm going to get a little bit more of this Iran protest escalating and how, will this come to America? Let's go ahead and get it.
It is unclear what sectors the president is designating. Nick Schifrin reports now, and a warning: some images in this story are disturbing.
In Iran, the street demands the end of the regime, spews contempt for their leaders, and declares this a defiant battle Over the last few days, protesters set fire to symbols of the regime's repression, including this mosque in Tehran, and sources of government power, including municipal buildings in the north. The response has been ruthless. In the last 2 weeks, human rights groups now accuse security forces of killing about 500 protesters, soaking the nation's streets in its citizens' blood. And now new footage of the aftermath of a massacre. Rows of body bags, all believed to be protesters who fought and died demanding freedom, line the floor of the Harizik morgue outside of Tehran. So many bodies, they overflowed outside, where family members were believed.
Hey, man, prelude to America. Prelude to America, man. Man, let me stop that real quick. Let's go over here to Zephaniah. Zephaniah 1, right? Zephaniah 1 and 14, the great day of Yahweh is near. It is near and hasted greatly. And we know that it hasted greatly because these prophecies are coming to pass. We already in the beginning of Jacob's trouble. All right. Scripture speak about the beginning of sorrows. Things is just going to intensify, right? It says, even the voice of the day of the Lord. You got the prophets out. The mighty man shall cry there bitterly, because American military isn't going to be able to stand against Russia's military. That day is a day of wrath, a day of trouble and distress, a day of wasteness and desolation. And as I was quoting earlier, Isaiah 58, I want to say 16. Wait, no. Let me see. Is it let's do coals. Let's do coals in the fire and see what we get. 54:16. It's Isaiah 54:16. Behold, I have created the smith, which is the scientist that the Lord put the spirit on to split the atom and, basically create the atoms, split the atom to create the nuclear bomb. That bloweth the coals in the fire, that bringeth forth his instrument, the missile, for his work. I have created the waster to destroy. All right. So when we go to Zephaniah 1 and 15, and it says a day of wasteness, it's talking about how the Lord gonna use these missiles to destroy America. And desolation, a day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness. The same thing Joel saw. Remember, these prophets saw the same thing. They just wrote the visions down differently. All right, look, let me see. Joel 2 and 10, the earth shall quake before them. The heavens shall tremble, the sun and the moon shall be dark, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. The dark day of the Lord. Back in Zephaniah 1 and 16, a day of trumpet and alarm against the fenced cities of America, against the high towers. America is the high tower. See, America is strong because they have this great sword, the military, as well as the dollar. All right. But the dollar is only strong if the military is strong. You understand? And the prophecies speak about how America is going to fall to the Medes. So America has to go around and showcase their dominance to continue to keep that fear in the earth, just like they did with so-called the Maduro and his wife situation in Caracas, which is the capital city of Venezuela. Then they over there in Iran saying, look, if you don't do this and do that, we finna come over there. America's just all over the place, man. But eventually, the Lord is going to put a stop to this. Here's the point, verse 17. And I will bring distress upon men, and they shall walk like blind men, because they have sinned against Yahweh. Their blood shall be poured out as dust, and their flesh as the dung. Just like we saw here. Bodies all out there on the street. You got guys out there not knowing really, not really knowing what's going on. They just out there, you know what I'm saying, to be doing something. It's all hell breaking loose. We just out here, don't know what you fighting for, and you getting put to death. That is coming to America. Now, enough with the video. You kind of get the gist. They protesting against the regime. Now, I went here and I typed in, why is there a protest in Iran? It says initially, what caused the Iran protest? Initially sparked by frustration over record high inflation. All right. Is that not what we see here in America? Food prices. Is that what we not see in America? And currency depreciation. The reason why things are high is because the purchasing power of the dollar has gotten weaker. The protests quickly evolved into a broader movement demanding an end to the current regime. All right. Them Iranians are seeing political corruption just like we seeing over here. From the e-files to the situation with this ICE shooting. You got some people in the political spectrum is justifying it. Then you got a division. You got others that's not justifying it. Different governments and different governors from different states. They telling ICE to get the hell out of it. Straight division. And that's going to lead to these situations that we see in Iran coming over here. All right. Now, let's go ahead and get it in 2nd Esdras 15. Once again, 2nd Esdras 15 deals with Jacob's trouble. I'm going to hit the first verse and I'm going to get to the point. It says, behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. Our focal point on these lessons, like the brothers say, it's not the Beatitudes. It's about these prophecies, man. You know, getting his word out, getting ready for the battle, getting mentally prepared for what's finna happen. All right, because America finna crack off, man. These Edomites is divided. They ready to pull them swords out and go to war. And the prophecy said that they will do so. Let's go ahead and go to the point. 12, Egypt shall mourn. This is another code for America, the great city, which in Revelation 11 and 8, it speaks about this place being spiritually Sodom and Egypt. It says, Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that the Most High shall bring upon it, which is the missiles. We read about it in Joel, the 2nd chapter. They that till the ground shall mourn, the farmers. Right? There's certain things happening with the farmers right now where these major corporations is buying out the land and then they just forwarding using bad seeds. Food is getting even terrible. It says their seed shall fail and fell through the blasting and hell and with the fearful consolations. All right. The different weather events, which Esau controls a lot of this stuff, man. So a lot of it is organically, meaning the Lord got the angels having these weather catastrophes happen, but Esau, the Lord uses Esau with his weather mod technology to do this judgment too. So it's twofold. It says, woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. See, you're not really seeing people out there with them swords in their hands. I mean, they probably got some little makeshift weapons, you know, Molotov cocktails and, you know, shit to cause fires. But over here in America, man, you got dudes, especially if you live in the South where, you know, you can open carry or concealed carry. Man, people got them weapons on them. Shotguns, pistols, rifles, all kind of stuff. All right. Like it says here, swords in their hands, weapons, guns. It's going to be a division here. And there shall be sedition among men. What is sedition? Sedition is conduct or speech inciting people to rebel against the authority of a state or a monarch. And it's going to be found on the internet. Sedition starts off on the internet. Little videos coming out. You know, hey, every state, man, you need to do this, you need to do that. Form you a little 15 man militia. We got to come up against ICE. you have these different talking points on the internet, you know. And us, men of the Lord, this is not our fight. Our fight is to endure to the end, keep believing and pushing this truth out, praying, all right, and hoping for good, and watching and seeing how the Lord having these prophecies play out. That's our fight. Our fight isn't to protest. We don't got weapons and going out there and doing this and that. That's not what we doing. That's not what the prophecies say we'll do. The prophecies say that men of the Lord will sigh and cry because of the oppressors, and the Lord will send them a savior and a great one and shall deliver them. All right. But with balance, you know, if you live in the area, you know, concerning this ICE situation, if you live in the area and it's mixed, you got Southern Kingdom and Northern Kingdom, and you start seeing them agents come up in your neighborhood, hey, man, you stay out the way. You stay out the way, you know. You got family members that's wicked that did receive the truth and they get caught up in that ICE stuff. Ain't no you trying to defend them. Let them receive the judgment. But continuing on, it says, for there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power, just like we see here in America. In Iran. All right. The course is standing in their power. It's more people, more numbers. And add that to America, where they got weapons and all kind of stuff. Now, reports came out saying how it was an internet blackout out there, you know, because they was radicalizing on the internet. So they was blocking the internet, they was blocking communication and all that. And with Trump saying he finna come over there and do that, man, these acts is finna be happening right over here. We just read in the prophecies, Egypt shall mourn. And these are the situations that's going to be happening. 17, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, for because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. And with this ICE situation causing more division here in America, all right, and ICE is going from city to city dealing with the deportations. At first, it was the Northern Kingdom, different tribes of the Latinos, Native Americans, Seminole Indians, you know, Venezuelans, you know, certain tribes of the Northern Kingdom getting persecuted by ICE. But now it seemed like they shifted their focus to these Ethiopians, which are Hamites, you know. So, you know, they got a campaign city to city. And we need this to crack off in the cities, man. And that's going to really bring that pressure to America and cause these cities to be locked down and life changing. And you know Esau gonna bring that T attack and that F flag. All right. But going back to the title, Iran protests escalate and will this come to America? You damn right. And why will it come to America? We read it. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. It's gonna crack off over here. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor. All right. And we read above that, look, they're not going to regard their kings and their princes, the mayors, the governors, the presidents. And then you're going to have men not having pity on his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods. A lot of theft because of the lack of bread and great tribulation. And one of the things that pretty much sparked the protests in Iran is that it was high food prices, high inflation, which are the same things that we're experiencing here in America. And it's going to intensify. So we're going to continue to stand upon our watch and look and see and report. And Lord willing, you edify through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Kakodash, and double honors to our elders and apostles of Great Millstone that taught us the truth. Shalom, Akim.